Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dirty Talks podcast presented by Whoop. My name is Maghalie, and on Dirty Talks, Lucinda, Brand, and I take you deep into the muddy and beautiful world of cyclocross. We'll dive into our own race experiences, we'll chat with the biggest names in cross, and we'll give you a peek inside the world of professional cyclocross racers. Basically, we're here to celebrate the sport we love with you all, and maybe even reveal a few dirty little secrets about what really happens out there on the field. Just before we dive into today's episode, I would love to ask if you can subscribe to the podcast, either on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you are listening. And you can then join us every week on Dirty Talks.
January rolls on, and while the race in Benidorm is behind us, the Spanish sun still shines on the pro riders making their final preparations for the last battles of the cyclocross season or gearing up for the road season ahead. This weekend, all eyes are on the grand final of the World Cup. The tension is high, the stakes even higher. Who will emerge victories and claim their place in the cyclocross history? Join us as we look back on the Spanish spectacle and ahead to the thrilling conclusion of the World Cup.
Let's get dirty with Lucinda, Brand, and Maghalie, Rochette.
Today, we are thrilled to be joined by none other than cyclocross sensation Ceylin del Carmen Alvarado. Hailing from the Dominican Republic and representing the Netherlands, Ceylin has taken the cycling world by storm with her incredible speed, her technical skills, and unmatched determination. From claiming World Championship titles, World Cup overall titles, to inspiring the next generation of athletes, she's a powerhouse both on and off the bike. So get ready to hear about her journey, what drives her, and what's next for this extraordinary athlete. Welcome to the show, Ceylin. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invite. You have some nice intro there.
Of course. Well, we have to make our research. How are you doing? Are you both still in Spain right now?
I am.
I think so. Yes, I am too.
Cool. And I mean, let's talk about that. How was Benidorm this weekend? It looked like very tight races. It's always a unique race because the course is quite special. It's fast, it's twisty, and it's punchy. How did the races go for you guys?
Well, I think for Lucinda better than for me.
But I was wondering, was it like the corners were they easier or I improved my skills?
Well, I don't think they were really easier.
Hey, this is a good thing. I improved. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that, actually. Lucinda, I think you posted on Instagram today that it was your first time being on a podium in Benidorm, which is quite impressive. And then also, you also posted that you've been on a podium at every races you did this year. What do you attribute this consistency or this progress to? You know, if you compare, for example, just the Benidorm from this year to last year, what do you think is the improvement? Except from the corners, it looks like.
Well, it definitely is a part of it because I think I just felt more myself on the course, like that I was like less locking my body, and then this course, it's so slippery with the gravel, so when you lock your body, you will slip, basically. So I felt more united with the course or something like this, and also, I could reach my power, like how you have to do it, like not like the constantly power, but like the on and off kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But still, my start was terrible, really terrible. I think if you ask me going into why this was better than other years, I think it was mostly feeling better with the course. So you're not running less behind, and I'm just a bit more in shape, I think, than last year, for example, because I remember last year the climb was much harder for me also here.
Okay. Yeah, I also enjoy how you talked about how you use your power. People often, people that I don't know. I think a lot of people sometimes think like the more power always win the races, but actually it's the speed, and the speed comes from how you use your power and when you use it. And if you can accelerate quicker and then you reach a high speed quicker, and then suddenly you are quicker in the whole like overall. And so it's interesting how you talked about how you used your power compared to previous years and how that helped you.
Yeah, I think you have to compensate way more energy when the corners are less good. So if you can save that energy, you're not so much running behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ceylin, how was it for you? Like, I remember like the third corner, we were battling already. But I was like, okay, Ceylin is also here, so it's fine, Lucinda.
Yeah, for me, it was a tough day, especially like I was also riding with my Wahoo, but I didn't even pay that attention to it because I was too much suffering, so I had no time to watch my to watch my watts and power and whatever. But yeah, I also didn't have my best start, and then yeah, riding in the back and with the cornering, yeah, I missed a little bit of like a punch, I think, in the race in Benidorm. So after every corner, I was very slow, and I knew I was very slow, so that was really frustrating in the moment because yeah, then you see all the other riders going away and riding fast, and you have to catch up again, and yeah, at some point you can't catch up anymore because it's the tank is empty. So that was my story.
I think
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. I had that before
Me
on
too.
this course, actually. Yeah, you had this also on this course, Maghalie, in the past.
Yeah, last year actually, I think it was Denise. She crashed on the start right in front of me, and so I ended up last place. And then like you just play catch up. Actually, I felt good,
Yeah.
but it's so hard when you never even see the front, and like you feel like you're catching, but you just can't quite get there, and it's
Yeah.
so annoying. You just never. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I know the feeling.
And Ceylin, because normally you have that kick, is it like,
Yes.
was it a bit something you also calculated because you had been training during the week more because it's sun and
Yeah.
you want to do a last longer trainings blocks kind of
Well,
thing?
it's no excuse, of course, but I knew it was going to be a hard day for sure because I had like a hard week with a lot of training load and a lot of intervals. So, and also the days up normally you downgrade a little bit in training so that you're a little bit more fresh towards the weekends. But I didn't have this time, so I knew it was going to be for me a hard day for sure, and especially with its speed. So I think I lacked a bit of my freshness for the race, and also, yeah, my leg starting to hurt. I think in lap two already. So yeah, it was not my best race, but I took it as part of because sometimes you can say it's a shitty race, and you can take it mentally really far because you want to be more in the front or you want to have a better result, but somewhere in my head I was thinking it's for a bigger purpose. It's for a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter at the end at which place I ended. It was for me more like I have to go or I have to try to go full gas in this race. And if it's in the front, then it's in the front. If it's in the middle, then it's in the middle. And if it's in the back, then it's in the back. But as long as I go full gas during the whole race, then for me it was okay. So that was the
But
thing.
that's mentally very strong. Is it something that you always had, or is it also something now you become a bit more a adult rider? Let's put it that way, like that you improved on that you just take it how it's going and stay mentally focused.
I think that's something I really had to learn because when I was a youth rider, I had some, let's say troubles when I had to really suffer. So I gave up really easily. And I think with the years and also with a mindset, I learned to deal with it and to like go to the as hard as I could for the longest possible. Um, and yeah, I think now it also with the past years I had that weren't also really great. I think I really learned to give it a better place and to deal better with some kind of situations during races.
Yeah, well, it's a really big thing, of course. It's not so easy. So I think it's a really good thing. And like you sometimes can get stuck with like emotions starting in the in the race, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I had, for example, on Sunday got super frustrated by being in, I don't know, it was in the third lap, everybody came back, and I ended up being placed 10 again or something. Got stuck in other people's bikes, and I was so frustrated by it. And
Yeah.
then luckily I was like, you know what, Lucinda, you just go to the front on the asphalt there on the climb and race your own race, make it hard for yourself. You will see later in the final how that ends up.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's really hard to get that like motivating, you know, to turn it
Yeah, yeah,
around.
exactly. Yeah.
And
And while you, I think I remember while you had that point because I was also not in the front, and I felt the same in the asphalt climb. And then I tried to because they were really riding hard on in that lap, and I tried. Okay, I go to the front, I sprint a little bit, and then you oh passed me going on my fullest, and I was like, oh come on,
sorry.
am I not going hard enough?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I mean, I profit a little bit in your wheel, and then I did that last kick. I was like, okay, you go now. And sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a race, eh? It's a race.
Yeah,
But
this
like
is
you
true.
were in a really different like mental place than I was, and then I saw you like knowing the story now, right? Right? And I saw you, and then I was thinking like, I'm riding at my fastest now, and still there's Lucinda who can go harder and still drop me.
Yeah, but don't worry. I really did felt also strong that day, like that I really could do that because I always also have been in a different place on that climb in previous years that I did not have that extra kick. So
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to hear what goes on in the mind and how you both had the same strategy at the same time and how it played out.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. But you know, it is cool. Thanks for sharing that, Ceylin, about like how you felt coming into it and who like sometimes you know, kind of be like making the best effort even if it doesn't work. I think like in your position, like knowing that it's for you know being stronger later in the season, you know it might pay off. So it sucks now, but hopefully in 2 weeks when you're in France, hopefully that hard day and like the hard work you did before pays off. And you know sometimes
Yes,
like and
exactly.
actually you know last year you were winning the World Cup overall, which Lucinda is winning right now. And like is this
not there
something
yet.
that not that no, but you're on your way, you know, you're
I'm
still
on my
wearing the
way.
jersey, you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
leading it. So Ceylin, like, since you are not leading it this year, this part of like what allowed you to maybe train super hard before Benidorm and kind of put all your eggs on the maybe Worlds basket, compared to maybe last year you were trying to be fresher for each World Cup? Like, is that a difference that is happening this year? Even, I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I think
still like
so.
up there in the World Cup ranking, but
Well, it's yeah, but well, the World Cup season was not my main focus this year, so I knew from the beginning already that I would skip some races and I wouldn't do them all. So that allowed me to also have some yeah proper training yeah efforts and sections and also like now that Benidorm wasn't like a main goal, so I could have more like a training load during the week. So where last year it was more like I still have to, yeah, be able to defend the number one spot at that moment. That wasn't also for sure yet. So I think, yeah, this season compared to last season, it's more like, yeah, how do I say it? Like, I divided it more, let's say,
mm-hmm.
evenly or better than last year because last year I had to go like full gas from the beginning to the end because of the World Cups, and
Yeah.
now I didn't have that, let's say, pressure. So it's more easier for me to, yeah, to have more quality trainings and to divide my season in a better way.
Does it also meant like in the end of the super busy Christmas, you struggled a little bit more with all the tiredness from the races, and then your back pain came up a little bit too. So made it also that you was less stressed because you knew like, okay, Benidorm is coming, but it's not as important as last year.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, yes. Also, like you said, so in the Christmas period, everything went well until, yeah, the tiredness of the races came back because the last few races were some quite harder races, and my body was getting tired. And also, not only the races, but training load plus races plus the heaviness of the race. And then I had my back pain, and I think if it was like last year, well, last year I had some back issues as well, but that was another story. But I think it was like something like last year, then I would a little bit freaked out because I still had to do something maybe in the World Cups and other races. And for now, I was a bit more relaxed in a way that I knew that the World Cups wasn't like my main goal for this year. So of course the races are still important, but in some way, if you're like struggling like I had now with my back or with some any other problem, then you already switch your like mindset into, okay, maybe it's not ideal right now, but let's refocus, and there is some other goals during the season or whatever. So let's focus on that, and let's focus now on like getting the body fresh again and getting out of the situation I am right now. So also like in Dendermonde, because Dendermonde, yeah, it was a lot of mud and like a very slow race with a lot of running as well. And I think, yeah, at the end of lap one, my back was hurting already. And I said to myself, I'm going to try to keep pushing. But if it's too much, yeah, then I have to think what I'm going to do, because there are still some weeks left. And it would be like a really pity story for me if I, yeah, fuck up my, sorry for the...
That's okay. Here you can swear as much as you want. There's no control. You say what you want.
Yeah, so that I fuck up my back in one race just to try to finish that race. So I really quickly made the decision of like, maybe it's better for me to quit so that I have more recovery time and then my back gets faster, better. So I think I tried 2 more laps, but then it was not doable anymore. So I quit. And I think if I was in that situation last year, yeah, then I would have really tried to finish that race in order to, yeah, have a good ranking and World Cup standing and whatever. So I think that's a really difference from this year as well.
Yeah, performance-wise, it's so much better or easier to not be good in a classification, I think. I mean, you always want to win the classifications, but then performance-wise, to make good decisions is... I mean, all the decisions I made to race everything is absolutely performance-wise the most stupidest thing to do, you know. Somehow I still don't found why I was able to keep it going, but I'm super lucky with that. I really know that.
And that's a really, I think that's really a strength of yours as well, that you are the rider that is most consistent during the whole season. I think no one of us has the consistency you have, and that's also a really good strength.
That's true. And that you managed to stay healthy through it all,
Yes.
like, you know, that's pretty impressive.
Also,
because that's also one of the struggles with all that racing. Yeah, to stay. I mean, says the one who's not racing now because she's sick, but still, I mean, it is a challenge that can be sometimes we forget about it, but exactly, underestimated.
Especially, I mean, we are doing a winter sport. Being in all the shitty weather is normally not so good to stay healthy. A cold is quickly there, and you hear it so many riders. So this is the thing that, I mean, I call it a bit of luck to not catch that, you know?
Yeah. Maybe a bit of luck, but also like probably your routine is good, and you know your body's responding well, so you take it while it comes, you know. You take it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're almost at the part where we dive into interviewing you, Ceylin. But first, this episode is sponsored by Whoop. But actually, you wear the Whoop, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And do you use it?
Yes, really nice band, actually, always.
You do have always
nice
bands.
Thank you. I have a lot of them.
Yeah. Which actually, like, how you were talking about like deciding which races you're gonna do and things like that, and I know a lot is about your back, which the Whoop really can't know if your back is hurting, but do you actually use the Whoop to know, like, to kind of, track your recovery and how your health is doing? Do you use it quite a bit?
Yeah, yeah, I do, and I think Whoop has since a few years now this smaller new, yeah, let's say Whoop device. So in the beginning, I had the first one, and it was a bit too big for my wrist. So the measurements were not always good, but I didn't know you could wear it also on the arm. So preferably I do wear it on the arm because it measures better for me. And on
Mm-hmm.
races and stuff like that with sponsoring and whatever, I wear it then on the wrist. But yeah, with the new one, then I tried it again because I stopped and I said like, whatever, it's not working. I don't want this. And then I tried it again with the new one, and the measurement was really perfect. So I wear it every day now, and yeah, like I said, especially on my arm because it measures better. But after wearing it for a few years now, like almost every day or every day, I can really say when my Whoop says, yeah, you're in yellow or you're in red or your HRV is really low or whatever, then I can say, well, okay, today is going to be a hard day or today is going to be like a really shitty day. So that's, yeah, I think really nice about it because in the beginning, yeah, I couldn't really tell if it's green. Maybe I was not good that day, and if it was red, then I was feeling like not in red but in green. So it was, yeah, a bit like of something of everything. But
Yeah.
now when it says you're in yellow, you're in red, and your HRV or whatever is really low, then I can say, okay, I'll probably have this day today, and if it's green or I have like a high HRV, then it's better, or I can really tell because of the Whoop which kind of day I will have. Maybe it's
Yeah.
not always good to watch it, but
Do you watch
But
it
it is,
also
it
before
helps
the
me.
race?
No, I don't.
Okay, good.
me
good.
neither.
I don't.
Yeah, I watch it after the race, see what it was.
Yes, yes.
But you're right. The more you wear it, it's crazy how it gets more precise. And actually, it's been so interesting watching it the last few months for me. Like considering how I'm feeling now, and I started looking, like I went through all the data actually this week just to see, because I've been off the bike now, like completely resting for 10 days since I decided to not finish the season. And I went back, and actually since the end of August, I got really sick in August and early September. But whatever, I kept training and it kind of got better eventually, but my HRV never got higher. So it was super, super low, like compared to what it normally has been. Like my average was maybe 45 HRV since August, like super, super low. And then during Christmas, I got sick twice. So first I had a cold, and then after that I got a fever that lasted for 1 week and a tonsil infections in my throat. And then it obviously like went super down. But since then I've been like really, really resting, and it's crazy. Like finally I'm finding my HRV from before. So now I'm back in the 80s and plus. So it looks like for the last 5 months it's been like my body was fighting something, I don't know what, but I was always kind of a bit groggy and a bit tired, and then it got really worse after being sick. But it's really interesting to see that now, like, my body is responding so well to the resting. Like it's really coming back to my more. I still feel really tired, but it's coming back to more normal levels. So anyway, it's interesting to see, and I think like the more data you have, the more interesting stuff you can figure out. So yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, also to explain a little bit, maybe a lot of people don't know the HRV. So we have the heartbeat, and most people know you measure that in the morning maybe to know how you recovered. But there is also a measurement which like counts the time between the heartbeats, and this is that value. And the higher that is, the better they say it is, like your body is more rested. So it's a very complex thing, but research really turns out that it's an important measurement to your body.
Yes, and it's very personal to everybody, so everyone has like their own kind of
Yeah.
range, kind of data, and
Yeah.
then you compare it to yourself. So you can't really compare it to other people.
No,
So
which
the
is the
numbers
same
that
as
I
a
said
heartbeat.
earlier, exactly. So the numbers that I said before, like for people, maybe it doesn't mean anything, but yeah, very personal. So
Yeah.
anyway, Ceylin, are you ready?
I hope so.
Okay, we dive in. You'll see, we'll be nice. So actually,
yeah, we are not so
um,
hard to you. No worries.
Okay.
I mean, I think we can start from the beginning. A few years ago, already 3 years ago, we did a podcast together, and so I don't want to share the
remember,
same
yeah.
questions, but some people won't know, so we'll just kind of start at the beginning. So you shared with me that time that both your parents come from the Dominican Republic, and you were born there, but if I'm correct, moved to the Netherlands at 5 years old. And so I'm just like curious, how connected do you still feel to the Dominican Republic? Like, would you ever consider racing for Dominican Republic if there was Olympics or something like that? Like, how connected do you feel to this place where you were born?
Well, let's say I still have the connection because of some family I still have there, and I was born there, and my parents also come from there. But yeah, further than that, I would say I have almost nothing anymore because I'm living already for so long in Europe. That and I also just went like a few times back, not that much as well. So it's some part still remains like there, but it's just a small part. It's not like very big or something, or that I feel like I have to do something with it or whatever. And I love all the fans I have there and whatever, because there are a lot and they're really like supporting me from there. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it.
So looking at the internationalization of cyclocross, would you
That would
ever
help.
try to push for? Would you ever try to push for a race in the Dominican Republic, one World Cup round over there?
Well, the opportunity, of course.
Yeah.
Then I say, it's the same as like the States, it's too far, the travel, the expenses, it's not a good idea, I think. But it would be nice, at the
Maybe.
beach or something.
Maybe we
Yeah.
need like as a closing race so we can stay for holiday on the beach.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
But seriously, like the competition in the Netherlands for Olympics is super hard.
True.
You also, I know that one of your ambitions was getting to the Olympics on the MTB, and in this cycle it did not work out. I think you decided already that like before the very last push towards the Olympics. But like then would it? I mean, it could be that you change your nationality and then you're the best cyclist anyway.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other hand, you ask yourself, like, is it worth it? Because Olympics, especially like if it's really individual, like a mountain bike race, or hopefully in the future, like also a cyclocross race, then, well, cyclocross is different, but like a mountain bike, is it worth it to change your nationality, to have like not the support maybe as good as it is now, to have to do it all by yourself and on your own? And also like, I probably could keep my coach and whatever, but like the performance also has to be like good, because I don't want to start an Olympics to say I just started an Olympic,
Yeah.
I also want to perform during such an Olympic. So that's the thing. And I also really thought about it, but then I asked myself, is it worth it at the end to do all of that and to spill all of that energy that comes with it as well?
Yeah, it's a lot of
to-
stress.
Yes, exactly. To just start during an Olympics.
Yeah,
And I think that's not really worth it at the end.
No. So
Yeah.
are you like there's new cycle starting, of course, now? Is it something which is still a goal, or you changed your thoughts about that?
Well, I think I changed about it because the last years I didn't really race on a mountain bike. So, and the level there is also really high, and it's a different kind of technique you really have to have, and also to be very well, it's not only pushing watts and long climbs and whatever. You really have to have that technique, and in order to have that technique, you really have to like, yeah, spend hours on a mountain bike and go to places where you really can train that. And I don't think I really have, yeah, the time to do that with also road and also cyclocross. And also yeah, if you see the upcoming generation of mountain bike riders in the Netherlands that are, yeah, really technical, can bunny hop, can jump over there and over there and over there, and like also if you look at Puck, for example, yeah, that's I think something that I would love to have and be able to do that, but I think I would have trained so much and so long to accomplish that. Yeah, then it wouldn't be even enough. We only have like one or two spots maximum, and I think that's the hardest part of it. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, for the for the Olympics in LA, I would love to do them on the mountain bike, of course. But I think, yeah, the reality kicks in then, and yeah, it's going to be really hard to,
It
yeah, to be able to go.
it's crazy for me to think because for me, Ceylin, you're one of the most technical ones in out there on the course on the cross. You know, like of
Yeah, but
course,
it's
Puck
different.
also.
It's
Yeah,
really
but that's
different.
what I mean. Like it's crazy, and then you actually say like, "Oh, but that's not enough for mountain biking." I'm like,
No,
Because
"Wow."
I
no,
think
no.
it's the type of skills are very different, and I
Yeah,
think
you
more and
raced
more
it,
like
so you know better.
yeah. Well, if you look at a mountain bike World Cup course, a lot of it is like kind of man-made features. So you'll have drops that are constructed by men, or you'll have like some type of jumps, or really short but super steep and kind of awkward descents. So it's not even the type of things that you would find riding in the forest. You know, it's
Yeah,
very specific to
yeah,
World
exactly.
Cup mountain bike courses, whereas cyclocross, I think, is more natural obstacles, and so you just become like really good at handling your bike and moving your weight on the bike to make the most of the terrain, which yes translate to mountain biking, but also like there's something very specific to the mountain bike type of
Yeah,
skills in the
yeah,
World Cup nowadays. So yeah, it's super different.
I was
And
a bit
yeah.
summarizing it as someone who do not participate on that part. Like, you must be a very good climber with good skills and a crazy mind. Is this
Also, but
correct?
also the climbing is really different compared to like a road or a cyclocross race
Yeah,
because
it's on a
you
high
have really
cadence and
yeah, you have a really small gear and it's indeed a
super
high
steep.
cadence, super steep. Yeah, and also sometimes climbing on the roots, climbing on the rocks. It's not,
for
yeah, it's
grip.
not only pushing watts and whatever. You really have to, yeah, be able to handle your bike so well that you also can, yeah, like have the skill going up the mountain or whatever. It's not just climbing.
Yeah,
And
it's
that I
true.
think that's also when I did some mountain biking, that was something I struggled a bit as well because yeah, I didn't really have the feeling and the technique on the bike during on a climb that the other girls did have. So that was also, yeah, like I said, it's not just climbing, you know, you really have to have
Yeah.
that specific feeling on the bike and
Yeah,
able
it's true.
to, yeah. So,
And
yeah.
yeah, and what about road? Because like with your team with Alpecin Phoenix, it's also now a road team, and you've done a little bit of that. What are your ambitions on the road? Do you see it more as a way to train for cyclocross, or do you still have some goals that you would like to accomplish there?
Well, in the past, I saw it, of course, as just preparation for cyclocross, but I think with the team now and with the races we can do, and also I still have the ambition to have something, you know, have a career on the road. Um, I think I changed my point of view of that, and I would like to also like, you know, be a road rider. But
Nice,
that's, yeah, that's
welcome.
also, but that's also, it has to do with like the goals I still have in cyclocross, and also like I don't really have the experience on the road. Well, I had now with for the first time like with the Giro and some other races, but that's not enough, of course. So I would like to do more races, more big races, to have really the experience and to challenge myself and to know where are my qualities, where am I good at, where am I not good at. And in that way, we can like make a plan and then also go, yeah, hoping to go for a road career.
And
Nice.
with that, it's also, of course, more interesting to be at the start line, having some goals,
Yeah.
and it's not like, oh, I race here to get some racing in the legs for cyclocross.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's a really different mindset. If you
Yeah.
Yeah, you
go,
feel more engaged
yeah,
if you have a role, if you have
yeah,
a oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
yeah, and you push
Mm,
yourself also more during such a road race.
True.
cool. Okay, we have learned too that kind of changing subject a little bit, but apparently, apparently you have moved. You lived in Rotterdam before, which is also where Lucinda lived, and it looks
Yes.
like I think you've moved to Belgium in the I think recently. And how has that transition been for you? Kind of moving to Belgian town, and do you miss the dynamic of the city? Like how has that been? And was it a move that you made for cyclocross?
Well, no, I made it for love.
Oh, that's even better.
So yeah, but it's in the beginning it was hard, of course, because I went from the city and the vibrant city, let's say like that, and a lot of movements to a really quiet town, quiet place, small place. I didn't really was used to it. So
Would you
I
say
in the
like you
begin,
was a city girl, or still are?
well, I think I still am,
Good.
but I manage it better. Yeah, in the beginning I really missed it. But after a few months and a few years later, yeah, then it started to feel like home as well. I think I really, yeah, because the contrast was really big. So I had to, yeah, settle myself and get used to it, get used to the area, the place. For training, it's a lot better. But like I said, from the city to something really quiet, that's such a big change. But now, yeah, now it's fine. And used to live in like in Husselt, that was really quiet, and now I live in Reims, also quiet, but it's next to the border, next to Maastricht, so it's more vibrant than where I used to live. So that's also maybe a little bit better. But yeah, it's not that I really miss the city, but sometimes I really have the need of being like in a more crowded place, like with people around me, shops, whatever, like I used to do in Rotterdam. But it's not that I really, yeah, miss something or that I have the urge to go back or something like that. It's fine.
And do you occasionally go back to Rotterdam to get some kapsalon after a good night out?
So weirdly,
No, no,
capsalon I think
but
is
I found
one of the only word I know in Dutch.
Maghalie, maybe then explain to the audience what it
Well,
actually
I
is.
think isn't it? Well, maybe I'm wrong too,
really
but
nice
every
meal though.
it is not a was is it not for the hair, like where you go for a hair salon?
Well, it is, but it's actually now also a dish. Well, a dish. I don't know if you can count it a dish, but so actually the story is someone who was cut like a cup was cutting the hair in Rotterdam was always ordering French fries with salad and a lot of sauce and meat on top. So then this place, the cafeteria, started to call it the kapsalon. So it's
Mm.
just a bomb of calories, basically, with a lot of fat,
Okay.
which is
And then
turned
But it's
out to be
nice.
very
It's
popular
nice.
in the whole Netherlands. And
really,
yeah, it's
that's
perfect
funny.
food for after going out.
Yeah, yeah.
So you like it
Oh,
too,
that's funny.
Ceylin?
I like it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not
Good.
for every week, but
Once in a while.
yes,
I love it.
yes.
And what about when you moved to Belgium? Was one of the factor hard to like because your family, I bet, is still in Rotterdam. So was that hard to leave your family, or since you work? I mean, it seems like you work very closely with your family for your cyclocross endeavor. So like, did that kind of make it
Yes.
easier because you see them all the time still because of racing?
Well, of course, I'm a family person, but I haven't been like, I never was the girl that was really needed to be surrounded all the time by her parents or whatever. I'm really like, yeah, a girl that needs her own space and her own, needings and whatever. So in that point of view, I was easy with it. But also, yeah, my parents go to almost every race as well, and cyclocross is together with them, so I see them every week. So it's not that,
Still
yeah,
pretty good.
I really, yeah, exactly. I still see them a lot of times during the year, so that makes up also for it.
Yeah, and I think some people have seen, because I watch back the races and sometimes commentator also tells it, so maybe people were more sharp on it, that like your family is very supportive to you, like during the race, to encourage you to go deeper and keep going, to keep pushing. And I was wondering, because I see your fiance is doing that as well. Like, is it something you really like, and that you maybe also ask, like, it gives me a good mood, so keep doing that?
Well, I don't ask for it, but they are really supportive, and I think in a good way. So that, yeah, it feels really good to have that kind of support, and yeah, that they're really there for me, not only like to watch a race or whatever, but they try to like help me in some sort of way,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, yeah, it's really good that they do it in that way. It's a really, yeah, I really need that support as well during a race. If they were really quiet or whatever, and maybe I was having a hard time during races, then it would be harder for me to digest the race maybe. And with their support, it's really nice to, have a like a better focus, or
Yeah.
if they yell something at me during the race when I'm having like a shitty time or a hard time mentally, and maybe they yell something, that I'm like, okay, reset and refocus, and so that's a good thing.
So they
Yeah.
basically really know you well. Also, Roy knows you
Yeah,
so well that he realized, I just gonna do this because I can, get her a bit back in, or like they know you so well,
yeah,
so they know
exactly.
what to
Yeah,
to do with you.
yes,
That's super
yes.
nice.
Always, it's always like they always shout something really supportive during the race, not only something to just say, "Oh, go Ceylin," or "Come on," or whatever. It's always
No,
something that I can build on. So
Yeah.
that's really
like
good. But also
with
sometimes they get nervous during a race, and I can hear when they get nervous, and it's something really annoying. And I'm
so
like,
they
okay,
they
you know.
should stay. They should keep their temperament of excitement a bit more down than for you. Or
Yeah, when they're like getting nervous during a race, like if I'm battling with someone for the first place or whatever, and I can really hear that they're going nervous for it, like what will the outcome be, or will she make a mistake or whatever? Then they start like, yeah, still like shouting in a supportive way, but I can hear it at, yeah,
You
I
can
don't know,
hear. I
it's
know
it's
what
a
you mean.
feeling, and I can hear that they're going like
the
getting
difference.
nervous. Yes, and then I'm like, okay, when you reach that point, then you better say nothing.
Yeah.
Do you tell them afterwards?
I do, yes, I
Yeah.
do,
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
It's
And
Yeah,
it's so it's so interesting that you say that because it's like every member of the team has to keep the composure, not just the racer. Like if for them too, it's about like staying in the moment and keep saying things that are constructive in a calm manner.
yeah,
It's funny how like every role is so important in that way. Like when you watch on
absolutely.
yes,
TV,
yes,
you think it's just the racer, but actually like everything around has an influence. So
yeah, yeah,
it's everyone.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
important.
Yeah,
true.
this is absolutely true. And also, people, so her mom and dad can really give information I don't get a shit about, because it's in
That's true.
Spanish.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
in Spanish.
Also,
Secret weapon.
Secret
Secret
weapon.
weapon.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
And Ceylin, I think your brother used to also race cyclocross. So I'm curious, like where did cyclocross come from for the family? Is it your parents that were already fan, or is it you really that tried and kind of brought it and kind of made everyone in the family excited about cyclocross? Like how did it come in the family?
Well, it was just like a moment of discovering something new actually, because we were only riding on the road when we started, and then we wanted to have a good winter, and we started asking in the, yeah, at the club where I was riding back then, that was RWC Ahoy. We were asked like, we were asking like, yeah, what can we do in winter to, have a good winter and still be like fit and good for the start of the new road season and whatever. And then they were giving like cyclocross training. And we didn't knew what it was in the beginning, of course. So we tried it and we really liked it actually from the beginning already, both of us, or all of us. And then, yeah, from there on, it never stopped actually.
And
But
what did you like in the initially? What did you like? What kind of got you excited about it?
Don't know actually. I can't remember why well, in my occasion I said like I want to still do this, but I think because I was really bad at it in the beginning. I was not good at all. But I think the challenge maybe, and also that my parents kept supporting us and telling, well, you can still try it and wherever. And the races were together with the guys, of course, but we had like nationals that were separate, so the girls nationals and then boys nationals. And I think that's also was also like a really motivation to have some races during the year that were separate and that you could end more in the front.
yes.
And along the way, of course, you improve your technique, you improve your skills, you learn more about sport and whatever. And I think, yeah, that a mix of everything was, yeah, was kept keeping us like we're going to do this.
And and then I wonder because I read somewhere that you did some like athletics, like winter running, like cross running,
Yes,
and
yes.
you went to your daddy like, I really want to quit this, and the weather, it's too cold, it's shit, and so on. So did you just took it because it was fun to challenge yourself in riding in the mud, or was it then not a problem that it was cold?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I remember the race really well, and the day was really cold, and it was like icy, and it was on the course of in Spijkenisse on the training course of the youth there on the course,
So close to
and
Rotterdam.
yes, yes, and I was running there also in the winter in the cold, but you had to step like cyclocross actually in the water, in the mud with your shoes and whatever. And yeah, I don't know if I was like too young for it or whatever. And I was freezing, freezing, freezing that day. And then I quit and I said that I never want to do this anymore. And then we changed to cyclocross. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the difference was that I said I want keep on doing cyclocross instead of the athletics and the running in the winter and whatever. I think it was more fun to do and more challenging as well.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I think definitely it's more, you need more technique on the bike than
Yeah,
just running.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of one of the things you said is kind of interesting. Like the fact that the fact that you could do some women's race only kind of was exciting to you because that's how you could sometimes have good position. It's crazy how the sport changed, right? Like in our careers, like how now like the juniors have races and the under 23s have
yeah.
races and probably like when because I mean actually like I think you've been doing these elite races for a really long time. Like I remember I used to work with photographer Balint, and he was making some photo books of every season. And he gave me some because we were a good friend. And I think he gave me one from like 2014. And here you are, like you were a tiny little girl in these
Yeah,
races. But it's crazy how the sport evolved, right? And now, like the girls at 15, 16, they can fight for their own world championship and for their own
yeah,
things. And so I think, I don't want to say it's easy, but I think it's easier to stay in the sport when you have something to fight for that is
Yeah.
more achievable than just
yeah,
like
true.
fighting to finish the race when you're 15,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the elite
And it's
races. So,
also a different kind of motivation you have then.
yes, for
For
sure.
example, you can battle with your own, yeah, with your own category and end up in better places, and it's like a more clean race as well instead
Hmm.
of, yeah, having other kind of riders, elite riders and under 23 riders in between. And I think that really, yeah, motivates these girls and boys to, keep on riding, because a lot of the girls I used to race with, they already quit We never
For
really
sure.
had back then the different categories. So we went straight from juniors to under 23, but we never had like separate races,
Nope.
except for Worlds. That was the only race. So for us, it was also, like trying to survive during races.
At one
Yeah.
hand, like if you or like if you somehow find a way to keep it like enjoying, it makes you really strong. But
Yeah.
yes, the people who are able to keep it that fun are less, of course. So
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 it's
thank God
true.
that changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also, I think like having your own race, you learn other skills. Like you
Yeah.
learn the skills of winning, Whereas if you always kind of fight to stay in the race, eventually you make it maybe to the front if you stay longer, and then you have to learn to win. But if you've learned to win at a kind of lower level, like younger level, then you move up and you have this skill in the bag, and then when you're elite
yeah.
and you're at the front of the race, you know how to win a race, you know how it works in a battle, so there's like it's so I don't know, it's so fun that now there is this opportunity, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it leads in the future actually.
Where it
Yes.
brings everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, maybe Lucinda had a question about representation, and maybe it fits well here
Yeah.
because we're talking
Yes.
about the younger generation. Do you want to go with it, Lucinda?
Yeah, well, I read in an earlier interview that you mentioned how nerve-wracking it can be to be in the spotlight, especially during live interviews and so on. I think, by the way, you do that pretty good. So
Yeah, and
Maybe-
you're always smiling. I love your interviews. I love that you're always smiling.
nice.
It's really good.
So, and yet you have embraced the role of being a role model for diversity in sport. And that has traditionally been, this sport has been so wide. And first, respect to you for, like taking on that spot, even if, and that role, like to others. And I was just wondering how you feel about being a source of inspiration to younger girls in that way, for like being in cyclocross, for example. And
Yeah.
for sure, I understand like this is not why you started it at all or anything, and it's maybe even you maybe feel even pushed into that situation. I don't know. Like I'm super curious about it.
Well, it's of course always like a privilege and a nice feeling to have the feeling of being someone for someone else. Let's say it like that.
Yeah.
Maybe for younger riders or for rain riders or whatever. And in some way, it also gives you the pressure of, yeah, you don't want to do anything bad or anything wrong, or anything that can, yeah, the spotlights are always there, the cameras are always there, the the people who interview you are always there, trying to find something or to catch you in a bad day or to find something that they can say, oh, you did this or you did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's maybe the hardest part of it, because we are still human beings, we
Yeah.
make mistakes, we have a life and whatever.
Yes, that's true.
And I think, yeah, that's sometimes hard because you still want to, yeah, like I said, have a life and feel like still being a normal person, even if you have like yeah, the being like a high athlete or whatever. And sometimes you have to find the balance, but I think it would be nice if later on when I stop cycling and there are younger riders or other riders that can tell me, hey, you were a good example and I took you as like I don't know, something
A mentor.
someone I looked up to. Yeah, something like, not even, I'm not really like um yeah, really focusing on it. But I think in some way you're still like doing the job or
For
something.
sure. For
Um,
sure.
and it's nice that someone else can say, hey, my daughter really finds your skills or really finds your type of, yeah, rider, being a rider or riding skills during a race really nice, and she tries to copy them or whatever. So that's really yeah, cute and also really really
It
nice
is.
to hear those kind of things. And that's also that's something that keeps me motivating to do what I do and keep on going with that. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's super cool.
it is. Yeah, it's also something that you just roll in because you're
Yeah.
good, of course. Like, and then later you are aware of the fact like that every word you say is getting bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think now I can manage it really well. And I don't really, I don't really focus on that stuff and whatever. And I can really shut down media and all that kind of stuff. But I think in the beginning, especially when I became world champion, that I was so young still and I didn't know what, yeah, the whole package that came with it. I think I that was the moment where I had the most trouble with those kind of things because everything was new and suddenly everyone wanted something from me and all those interviews and all the attention and whatever. And that was sometimes I learned in the hard way that yeah, that you don't, that everything you want to say or everything you feel or whatever or you do, that it's getting in like how do you say vergrootglas,
Yeah, that
like
A different context?
they
that it's under the loop,
yes, in
that
a
they
loop.
take
Oh
it
yeah, yeah.
really,
They
yeah.
close it.
So
They
that
take it to a closer loop. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and they make everything big and whatever, and now I can, like I say, I can manage it now really well. But in the beginning, it was quite hard, and also like they never teach me or said to me, when you become a famous person or when you become this champion or this champion, this is what you get.
Yeah.
So, and
No.
that's also something that I would really like to the younger riders. That's something like be aware of it, because now it's all fun and playing and whatever. But when you get like to a certain level, yeah, then everything and everyone is really there on you, and
Yes.
that's sometimes it can be hard.
Yeah. I think you said earlier, you said like it's their privilege and their pressure of being in that
Yeah,
position, and
yeah,
I think like you've done it beautifully, and it's incredible that for when you talk about the young girls that sometimes tell you like, oh, I really try to do like your skills and stuff, like it's there is a saying that if you can't see it you can't be it, but I think you are such a great representation, that you can do it, and for other girls that other girls now they can see themselves in you and they have like the best role model, so it's cool to see. And I also enjoy what you just said about like dealing with the pressure, because I remember when we did the interview 3 years ago, I asked you about that world championship, how it changed for you, and I think what you said is when you first won, you cried and cried and cried for the few days as the emotions were coming. You kind of was realizing what was happening, and then you said that the main thing that had changed for you is like the attention and how much in the
yeah,
spotlight you were. Um, and now, like a few years removed, it looks like you learned to deal with that. And I'm curious if you see that title differently now. If you see it as like, do you see it differently now with like a few years removed? Like, does it add pressure to you to have had that title, or does it actually kind of calm you in a way that, I mean, you've already like some people like it's already a career, it's like you can already.
yeah,
So how
yeah. I
does it
know.
change how you
Yeah,
see it?
not really. In some way, it adds pressure because yeah, they always remember you as a world champion, and they always want to see more titles. Not only you but also fans and also in the team and whatever, because you have that kind of yeah, um how do you say that
You
that
have the
Potential.
that
possibilities, like
winning,
the
yes,
skills to do
exactly.
it another time.
Yeah, yeah. So, and in another way, yeah, you never know. And also like then I was riding really good and I was feeling really well, and then everyone expected me to win so much world titles, in a row, and then I came with my injuries and with my CMV virus and whatever, and everything totally didn't went as planned. So that's also in a way that yeah, I don't know, sometimes you want it to go in a certain path, in a certain way, and then yeah, the world thinks differently of it, and everything changes, and then you're like have to start from zero again. Um, and in that way, I really cherish that world title because
Yeah.
it was, of course, it was a special day because I had officially to race like in the under 23 category, and I chose to ride in the elite category, so that was something about it. And also, I think the way I won it was really special because I remember in that year I lost every sprint against Annemarie.
Really?
Yes, and the Worlds was the first one I won against her. So that was also like winning that sprint against her was also really special.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, in many other ways, I think that title has a really, yeah, also because it's the first one, I hope, of many, but you never know. Has, yeah, being the first world title ever has that really special place also in your heart. And yeah, hopefully in the years that come, I can add more to it. And if it's not, well, then it's not. Then I
At
still
least you
have
have
one.
one.
But yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
They never
Yeah.
Yeah.
take it away, and you would be you
No.
always
Yeah.
go into the books like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
And the
Yeah.
fact
Yeah.
that, you said like the world had different plans and you've had some struggles, like in a way, if you take a step back and you don't look necessarily at results, which by the way, you still had some great results, but if you take a step back and like probably how much you grew as a person throughout those years that brought challenges, in the end,
Yeah.
like that's so valuable for you as a person and for
Yeah.
you for the rest of your life. And so,
Yeah.
yes, maybe it's not a result on paper that is more world title, but who knows? Like maybe you grew so much more than if you had won
Yeah.
all of these titles without the
That's true.
challenges. So I think
Yeah.
looking at, and the fact that,
Yeah.
because you rose through those challenges too, like you won the World Cup overall last year, you won a bunch of races this year, like, there's still, so I don't know. The way I look at it, it's still, you still won in a way. It's like you grew
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much. Like that will
That's
follow you
that's
your whole life.
also. I think that's also the way I see it. It wasn't, the past 2 years. Well, the year after World was not as good as I hoped. And also the year after, then I had the virus. So yeah, those 2 years, let's say the year of the virus and the year after, were not the years I hoped for, and they were really hard for me, like physically, but also mentally. And I think maybe those were really shitty years. But if I look back at it, yeah, it's not what I hoped for, of what I wanted in my life or in my career. But it helped me to grow, really grow mentally, but also as a person in general. To grow how to deal with different situations and how to deal with different race situations as well. Because from being under 23 and racing in the back and finding your way to the front to be able to race only in the front and for victories and for titles and whatever, and then back to be racing in the back with riders that, back then I asked myself, what am I doing here?
But
you
I
know,
I
that
think I
different
really can
mentality.
see this also. And maybe this is funny to bring up. Like, do you remember Boom?
Yes.
A few
You
years
know, you
ago.
know that day, boom. Yeah,
So for the
Tell
people
the
who
people what happened,
yeah.
Lucinda. You have to say it
So
because maybe people don't remember.
yeah, for sure you can find it on Google if you put in Boom Super Prestige Lucinda Crash Ceylin, then you will find some funny videos, I guess. So I just did super thing in the pit. We both went into the pit to change bike, and I thought it was a great idea to pass Ceylin while she was changing, and then I throwed my bike in basically her, so she crashed. It was of course super stupid, so still feel shit about that. But then I think I straight away waited after, because I was like, yeah, I can't continue racing like this. She's on the ground. But yeah, of course, it also influenced her race anyway. You're out of your focus,
yeah,
and so in the end, I won the race. And I think anyway, those years, there was I think our relationship as riders in the same competition was differently than it's now. Do you
yeah,
agree on that?
yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah, yeah. And I often really tell people because they ask, yeah, and how is it with Lucinda during a race and whatever, and I always tell them, with Lucinda, you never know because she's a tough one. But and they ask me about battles and whatever, and I say battle and we maybe bump into each other and have tight corners and whatever, but it's always with respect. It's not that I want to get you off the bike or you want to get me off the bike, or it's really like like a mean battle. It's
Yeah.
always with the necessary respect and knowing that if you fit, we fit, and if we don't fit, well, one of us has to break, and one of us breaks eventually. It's not.
Somewhere we break.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's also a really nice thing about it, that even if you are top competitors and you compete against each other and have tight battles, it's always with the necessary respect, and it's also something that I think it's really nice about you, and hopefully you find about
Thank
me as
you.
well. But
Yeah, but I
that
think
it goes in that way.
I think you really growed in like, um, it's not so easy to like, you have something going on in the race, and then when you see each other after the race, it's not a thing. That's not so easy because you're in the race. And I remember there, like, you was of course super disappointed, and it's also normal that that stays. And I think also when you become a little older, then all those experience helps you to be super disappointed about the situation and say something about it, which is fair enough
Mm-hmm.
because you always need to talk about it. But then also like, continue, like, then to leave it also after that. And these are things you just learn during the years, and
Yeah.
that's of course not something you straight away have in you, because as a younger rider,
Yeah.
you're like, you handle things differently.
Yeah, that's true. And if I see like some riders now, especially the youth riders that are under 23 and are like sometimes in the front with us and battling also for podium spots and for even victories, their way of riding is so different than we're used to like do with each other and race against each other. And sometimes it's also like you have to switch into that mentality. And sometimes I also have like, I don't understand why in this part of the race, in this
Take this
situation,
risk.
you make this move, because it's not necessary, or you can make it like earlier or later. And that's something that we as older riders and as maybe more mature riders have that experience as well. And it's also like a nicer way to race and compete against each other than
Yeah.
having to race against those young things that just want to be in the front and catch there and catch there and pass there and pass there, because sometimes that's really annoying.
Yes. But
Oh, that's funny.
sometimes we just need to remember we have been in that spot too.
True. Yes, true. Definitely true. Yeah. I
Yes.
remember I crashed Bremmeyer in Gieten also because I just wanted to pass, and I also felt really bad about it, and we talked about it, and that was also in my younger years, and I was, new to the riding in the front feeling and whatever. And I also see that in them as well, and I hope they also can learn about it, and like I did. So yeah, we will see. But yeah, I think it's a phase.
It is.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess we talked about like the challenges that you overcome, and it made you a better, kind of more mature, more experienced, better at facing challenges. And we talked earlier in this episode about how like you've been dealing a little bit with back pain now, and maybe this was like after your win in Namur and Zanoven. That was like such a high, and then you've been struggling with back pain a little bit recently, and it seems like you're on your way up. And is the world champs the goal? And do you feel like all this experience of like going through harder like obstacles the last few years are helping you to, showing up at Benidorm and still like putting on a great effort, great race, even though you're not feeling at your best? Like that's stuff that you learned that probably, do you think it's stuff that maybe a few years ago you wouldn't have been able to like overcome as quick?
Yeah, I think so. I think I really learned how to deal with such situations because I was dealing it for a long time. But now, like also, yeah, such a short time before Worlds, then also suddenly having back problems, but also like being sick because I had like
Oh, you got sick.
after, yeah, after Diegem, I think, I went down in my like, yeah, let's say metrics, so I wasn't feeling really well. And I also said during the races to my trainer, I'm racing and maybe I'm standing on the podium or I'm battling in the front, but I don't have the good feeling, Sometimes you race for a podium or you race in the back, but you still have the feeling you can push and you can, push yourself to the front and riding with a good feeling. And I really miss that. And then from after Diegem, so in riding into Besançon and then also into Dendermonde, I was feeling not really well and my metrics weren't good for like 2 weeks. My heart rate was sky high and I didn't understand why because I wasn't really feeling sick, but my body was like, I don't know, struggling with something. And then also my back pain. And I think in the past I would have maybe freaked out because it's so short into going into Worlds and it's still a few weeks left and I don't know how
She
long
still
this
need to
will
beat me
take.
in Super Prestige.
Also, that's for afterwards. So, I think in the past I would have struggled more and now I was like, okay, it's not the most ideal thing that's happening right now, but it can completely go away maybe in a few weeks, and maybe I'm still in time for Worlds, and take it easy, listen to your body, reset a bit, and let's see how the races go. And now that it's going well, I think since a week or so, then I'm more relaxed going into Worlds because I think in my mind I think okay it's going to be fine, I'm physically okay and if the legs work well and if my mindset is also good going into such important races, then I can push myself back to the highest level,
Yeah.
and compete back again in the front. And yeah, like I said, now I can deal much with those
Yeah.
situations. And of course, I don't like it, and
Of
it's
course.
shitty, and I
Nobody.
feel bad, and I complain about it and whatever. But I think my mindset still, yeah, is still in a yeah good place to give it a
Yeah.
place and move forward.
Yeah, I think when you were young, like we go like this with sometimes our emotions, and
Yeah,
then when we
yeah,
get older, maybe it's more like this. Like you know that it will
yes,
come back,
But
so that it's less high and
yeah.
low.
but you said like I'm not so nice. So is it a struggle for Roy to handle you at home then?
Not really, I think.
Okay, we need to ask him.
No, yeah, maybe he says something else, but I think I'm quite okay at home.
Good. You look okay. I mean, just right now, you look okay. You're still
You do.
smiling, making jokes, so it's good. We have. Do you still have a few minutes? We have a few questions, just like fun
Yeah,
questions
I
to
have
get to know
time. I
you.
have time.
We had too
Okay.
much to really talk
Yeah.
about.
We have to do
Um.
2 episodes.
We
We
should
can.
actually. You're good at this. It shows that you had so much practice with interviews and time in the spotlight. Okay. In 20 years, how do you want people to remember Ceylin's career?
I don't know. Well, the dream was to win a lot of world titles and a lot of European titles and whatever. But well, at some point, the younger generation is also coming, and your time is running up. And I don't know if I have the age as Lucinda, I would still be racing.
I have said that in the past
So
also about people. So never say
yeah,
never.
exactly, exactly. You never know, eh? You never know. For now, I don't know, but we will see how it goes. I think the main thing, I don't think it's the titles and whatever. Of course, that's part of it as well. But I think the main thing is that they see me as how I was as a rider and as a person during races on and off the bike. And I hope they will see me as always, seeing the positive in things, always laughing, like you said, always um, giving myself to the fullest to achieve my goals and to, yeah, to at least try to achieve the goals I have set for myself. And I hope they see me like, as a person that tried to do everything for that. And well, they remember me hopefully for my titles as well, but that's extra.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
But
Well,
just
I can
yeah, just
I can tell you what
how it was.
what I will remember from you it is your like the way you smile. Like yes, you're focused, but also always focused, but with a smile. And I think like it stands out in the peloton. So that's how I will remember you. So it fits with your being
Yeah.
positive attitude. So it looks like it's working. You're on the right track to be
You're on the good track
remembered
for
for
it.
this.
Yes. And
Yeah.
um, connected to that, so you right now have your food channel, which many people really love.
Yeah.
And
So there is an Instagram for it, people. It's Ceylin's Food Channel, right? That's the handle.
let's make some commercial about it here. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
so,
I'm getting behind with it, eh?
oh, oh, but in 20 years, is there a cookbook of Ceylin? Because this was maybe something you wanted to do.
Well, that's somewhere in my head. There is the idea of bringing a book out, yes. But for now, sometimes it's difficult, because we are often far, away from home. We don't have time, and if we have time, we don't feel like it, and you take it the easy and fastest way. But
Ceylin, I
yeah,
learned from the younger riders on social media content you can work ahead.
true, 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 true.
But you know
But
what?
also like that, like I said, I'm getting behind because I have a lot of recipes that are ready that I made. I took pictures, but I still have to write them out, and that takes a
Oh.
long time. And so, and also with all the racing and stuff like that. But I promise I try to catch up, and then
So
eventually in a few years, hopefully my book. Yeah,
the good
Nice.
thing about that is like everything you do now is already done for your book later. So like every
Yes.
post you
true.
do
Yeah,
can
yeah,
go for the book later. So that's
yeah.
helping.
But that's
And
that's
also,
also the idea about it.
oh, good. Well, you see, you're already making progress because the last time we did the podcast, I asked you about cooking and you said like, oh, I would love one day to make a cookbook. And then since then, that was 3 years ago. Since then, you already made the Celine's food channel. So you
Yeah,
already
that's
have
already a
work,
step.
it's already a step.
Yeah.
So maybe we speak in 5 years and
And
we're just cooking the cookbook.
don't put
Indeed.
everything there online because then they don't buy the book.
True.
True, true.
Do you also get inspiration when you're traveling for races, like
Yes,
in other
also. Yeah,
countries?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Other countries and training camps as well. And sometimes I just put something in the pen and Roy always says, I don't know how you do it. Sometimes we have like only this and this in the house and you make something out of it and I never can do that. And that's also like, of course, I love being in the kitchen and and experimenting and working with food, but also I try to make always the best out of the food. Even if we don't have much in house or we just have a few things or a few things that are almost yeah, getting like not good anymore that we have to throw it away, then I try to make the best out of it, like in a healthy way, of course. And if I have more time, then I put more effort in it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, on holidays, training camps, other places, other cities, I really try to, yeah, have some inspiration also there. And I love food to eat and to cook with as well. But
And Roy is the
that's
lucky
how I
one
do
to
it.
try it out.
It's kind of cool. Like I love that when you so I think sometimes the best ideas come when you have limited amount of things to play with. So like if you have some constraints, so let's say you only have a few ingredients, you have to be really creative about what you make of it. And sometimes the best ideas come of that. So I think
True.
that's
Yeah.
good and it shows your creativity.
I don't
What
have
is
the
like
skill.
according to that though, what is like according to the travel that you like to try food, do you have one thing that you can share that you tried in one of your travels this year that really stood up, like that really kind of stuck with you, like, oh my God, I had this whatever dish in this country that was so special. Is there anything?
Um, I think from the past year, not really. No, I went to like let's say holidays to Portugal and I went to Italy as well. But yeah, those are already known countries. Then to Italy I've been there also before, so it's not really that I learned something new or that I had something that I was like, oh, this is like great. But I think for me stood out the cuisine of like Portugal and the herbs they use, and especially with seafood. I love
Mm-hmm.
seafood. So
Yeah.
so I think what they use there in the kitchen, I haven't figured it out yet, but it's really, really, really nice.
Okay, I love it. Now I want to go to Portugal, so thank
It
you.
is good there. I totally agree.
Yeah, really nice, really nice.
Something totally different. Imagine the most perfect race for you. What weather is
Mm-hmm.
it? What do you eat? Are there any rituals to this winning result?
I don't really have special rituals, I think, before a race. It's, I think, kind of basic. I eat, I do pre-race, I have my warming up program, I have my schedule before the race, and that's pretty much it. But I go often to the toilet.
Nerves.
Uh, well, not really. I don't know if it's really nerves, but I can't have the feeling of feeling like too full, or that I have like this drop still inside of me that has to get out. I really need to get it out
I have the same,
to
but I
to
only have it
start
on
my
race
race.
days, so
No, I have it all the time. But yeah, on race day, I think it's more important for me because that's also like a focus point, You have like, I don't like to start feeling that, oh, I maybe need to pee, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Yeah,
have to
no,
do
that's the
something
worst.
else. So that's a really a bad feeling. And further, I don't think the weather conditions or whatever doesn't, really matter at this point, because if you look at you, Lucinda, with your skills nowadays, and also you're riding in the muskets, and sometimes I think if she corners me out. I don't know how she do it, but it's
Okay,
not
so
normal.
then if you had a special power, a superpower to beat your competitor, what would it be then?
I think it will be a mix. It will be a mix of having all the skills, like having the power, having the punch, having the technique, and having like a really, really, really good sprint.
but then okay, you have to choose
You have to choose, yeah.
which one of those futures you really need to add.
I think at the moment it would be maybe a bit of like a bigger engine, like more power. I think
I would
if
also
I
choose
have
that because if you have more power, you make also less technical mistakes because you're never tired.
also, yeah, and I
So
think, of course, I don't really want to hype myself up, but I think I have the skills,
you do,
and I
yes.
Yes,
think
you do.
I also have in like tight situations, I think the right mindset to have also like a tactical race,
You
if you
are a
know what I mean.
person who
Like,
goes into the final, you're even if you're dead, you're able to pull it your way.
yeah.
This is how I
So
see you, and I also think like you increase your engine already a lot compared, like, of course it's normal getting older, you increase that also. So
yeah.
but yes, I it's not like talking huge over yourself. It's true, you have the right
It's true.
skills for that.
Oh, thank you. It's good that you also can see it, not only me. So that's why I say, I think I can also pull a sprint, or a proper sprint, maybe not like Van Empel, but at least a proper sprint. And I think if I can have the bigger engine, to be able to push more watts, then yeah, then I have the full package. But for now, I still have to train a lot.
We
Yeah.
always all have to do that.
Okay. I mean, we've kept you long, so Lucinda, what do you think? Should we do the fire? The fa- the f- What should we? What should we go to? Should we finish this
I think
question or
I,
go
th- I
to the
think
pro
we
insight? What do you think?
yeah, I think we should get some pro insight from Ceylin.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do that, and then maybe after, because I think we got a lot to know you already. But yeah, there is a section on this podcast that we call the Pro Insight, and we ask our guests to give an advice for our listeners. So it can be an advice on whatever you want. Like it can be about how do you stay consistent in the full year. It can be about how how to follow your dream or whatever, like whatever you would like to share. Maybe let's say it like that. An advice you would give to Ceylin when she was 9 years old, like something like that.
Um, well, I would say the main thing I would give myself is to trust the process. I think that's something I learned the hard way. Um, and I think if that's something that I would really give to young riders, trust the process. If it's going a bit less in some periods or for a longer period, don't stress out, don't freak out, just trust the process. Yeah, I would say also trust your trainers in some kind of way, because they also know what you're capable of, and the grow march you have, and yeah, keep it also fun, keep it positive, believe in yourself, keep it fun, and don't stress out in difficult or less situations, because at the end everything is going to be fine.
Yeah,
And
that's a
you
good
will always
advice.
find solutions.
True. Yeah, true.
Oh, okay. I mean, just before we dive into, we quickly talk about Maas Michelin and Hoegaarde. There is something that Lucinda suggested here that I think is quite fun. So maybe we can just finish on that. Ceylin, if you could ask me or Lucinda one question, what would it be? And we promise we'll answer honestly. But now it's your turn. If you have one, like, is there one thing that you've been burning to ask?
Well, for Lucinda, I think it's quite obvious. I think it's the question, like, how do you keep yourself motivated to keep on pushing yourself and like pushing yourself at the highest level during the road and also cyclocross through the years, to like now at the age of, I think, 34, if I'm not wrong.
35 even.
35 already. To still be able to find the motivation and to ride at the highest level possible.
It's super good question. And I also have had moments I've struggled with that. And it is also a reason why I started to do a full cyclocross season, because I did not have that motivation on the road anymore on a certain point, not in the way I had it before. And by changing that, I did found it back for the road as well, because I changed the approach of seeing the whole road season. So it like are two totally different worlds for me, especially also because I changed the team halfway the year. So it's our different people around me, different energies. And then also, I have to be honest, I think it's also kind of an addiction to just keep improving yourself.
Yeah.
Somehow. Because, yes, sometimes I also think, why you make a new goal already for yourself? You're not even enjoying you reach this one, Like, I do enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but it's somehow you already think about the next thing again. So I also need to slow down myself at some points. But also, there are moments I'm not motivated at all. And then I just try to think about those little things that do motivate me, like to find something that triggers me to improve, because I think that's what drives me to be not bad at something. Which, I mean, it's impossible. You're always not good at something, of course. But, so, I think this is it.
That's nice. It's nice also to have the...
That was a good question.
Yeah. But also for you, like, you're the jumping barriers girl, that's really sick. I find it really cool. I can't do it, but you can do it. So that's nice. But because you live on the other side of the world, and I was also wondering, like, how do you also find your motivation to always keep on coming to Belgium and to the races and World Cups and whatever? Because it's, of course, probably expensive, and also really tiring with all the travels and jet lags and whatever, but you still keep on doing it year after year after year, and also like on a high level as well.
Yeah, good question. Also, sometimes it feels like I'm going against the current, because there's a lot of obstacle, and sometimes I think because all my competitors, it's the races are so close to home, and I know the difference that it makes because sometimes this year, for example, nationals were 3 hours away from my house, and I was like, oh my god, like so easy,
Yeah.
and it's so
You would
you
say it's
realize
so
that
far.
I know,
Yes.
but for me it was like, oh my god, like the night after the race I slept in my own bed, and like it felt so simple.
Yeah.
And so I realized that what I'm battling against is something different, but at the same time what keeps me coming and spending all this money and trying is I always think, maybe this time I'll figure it out, and I always
Yeah.
wonder, I wonder, like, what can I do, and so every year or every time I come I try something different, and I'm like, okay, maybe this time, like, for me, one of the biggest challenge I've had is like trying to perform at the same level that I do when I'm in North America. Like I am better when I race here, and
Yeah.
I don't know exactly why, so I keep trying to figure out, like, how can I reach that same level where I feel as powerful, where I can mix it up at the front, and once in a while I have a glimpse, and a lot of times it's not quite there. But like that little glimpse that I have once in a while, like that what keeps me coming, because I'm like, what if I keep trying, and then, the next time I get it, and then suddenly I can make it more consistent. And like I keep wondering if I can do it. And that's why I keep trying, really. And
And have
sometimes,
you,
sometimes it is discouraging, but you gotta, yeah.
yeah. And have you already thought about the option of not really moving to Belgium, but like staying for a longer time?
Like a
And
Lucinda
Yeah.
move.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I think, if I was to start my career again, let's say I'm 20 years old today and like it's the start of it, I would move to Europe and like start my life there. But I think now I'm 30, and it's like I'm so established here. I have a husband here, I have my family here, I have like my little nephews here, I have like all these things that are part of this community that I built here as an adult. And it's hard for me to leave this and start a life of like a new life at this
Yeah.
age.
But not
But I
really
think,
like for forever, I mean, really like for, let's say you come here to Europe in August or whatever and leave in January or February, after Worlds. Like,
yeah,
have you thought about,
I I thought about it.
but it's hard,
It's
I think.
it is hard. For
Yeah.
me, I've tried, like, in the past few years. I tried different things. Sometimes like come and go, and sometimes for the last like 3 years in a row, I stayed for 3 to 4 months. But staying for 3 to 4 months, I kind of get depressed a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good for maybe like 3 weeks.
I
a
try
month.
to explain, Maghalie, that we also get a bit depressed, like winter depression.
Yeah, but it's like,
It's
so
still
let's
different.
say like that. Let's say like I have a bad race, and when I have a bad race at home, on Monday I go back in my normal life. I have lunch with my sister, whatever. I kind of forget about it, and suddenly it's like everything's good again, and I get on with the training, and I forgot about it. Like, I'm already focused on the next one. And that's really easy to do when I'm in this environment that I know and that I'm comfortable. But I found that in Europe, when it's like that, when I have like a bad race, and like there's nothing to kind of change my focus. There's not like
Yeah.
the next thing is the next race, and so I get excited about that. But it's like it's hard to get out of a hole. And I think like Felipe, actually, we had Felipe Orts last week on a podcast, and he said the same thing. He said, I can do 1 week, no problem, but if there's one weekend there's no races, it's like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, what,
Yeah.
there's nothing. So that's the hard part.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine, yeah.
again, like, if I was younger now, if I would start my career, I would move there, because I think like it's no secret that's where it happens. That's where cyclocross is big, and like I think if I wanted to reach my full potential, that's what I needed to do. But I think now, like the way, because when I started my career, like it was pretty big here in North America. So all my contracts were on American teams, and like I kind of built my life here. But things changed last 5-6 years. So yeah. So that's kind of how, but yeah, I'm still motivated to try somehow. It's like, oh, well, maybe next time I figure it out. You know?
That's also good, and it keeps you motivating to keep on going, you know?
Exactly. And so I think it's just like I celebrate the small victories, you know, like for me, if I like have a great race where I'm in the top 5, I'm like, oh my God, that's really, I try to celebrate it because I know that like it's, yeah, for me, it means a lot because it's like, oh my God, like I finally managed it today, you know? And so like, let's celebrate that small victory.
But it also shows how you love the sport because you find every time new goals or maybe not new, but like you want to keep chasing them, you know, like so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool sport. It's such a weird sport, but somehow it's really cool. So yeah. So how it's cool, and you know, you said something earlier, Ceylin, about like the respect between the riders and like how the battles are super respectful with Lucinda, and like to me, that's something that's also cool. Like it's, you know, yes, we're all competitors, but at the same time, like, it's such a weird, as I said, like, it's a weird, hard sport, not super popular. And so I think the other women that do it are so cool, you know? I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, it's hard for everybody. Like, who does that? And I think, like, I have a lot of respect for the other riders that do it. And to me, like, being part of that is also something that's quite nice, you know? And so when I can be on the start line and, like, be with all these other women like yourselves and just kind of fighting, and we finish and we're all muddy, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is, we're so weird, but this is so cool. Like, when you think about it, when I'm 80 years old and I'm a grandmother and I show this to my, like, little kid, you know, and they're going to say, like, was that your job, grandma? You know? And I'm like, yeah, this was my job, like, fully muddy. And it's kind of cool to be part of that. And yeah, I don't do it for that, but it's one of the things that I enjoy sometimes. Like when I'm there and it's hard, and sometimes I can take a step back and say like, oh, it's quite cool to be part of that and still, you know, kind of compete at the, not always at the front, but like in the battles, you know, in the like top 10 of these races is pretty cool. So yeah.
All right.
Cool. I think that's
Thanks
it.
For
we
your
asked
questions.
a lot of you already. Thank you for you should join us. You have great questions. All right. Quickly, the weekend coming up. It's the end of the World Cup series. How are you guys feeling? What can you remind me? Like, what are the standings? What are we fighting for? Lucinda, you're still leading, so I bet that's a big goal. Like, what's coming up?
It's a big goal, of course. I think, if I'm right, it's like 50 points difference between Fem and me. So as long as I do nothing stupid, nothing crazy, and I finish the races around the places I normally finish, it should be okay.
Do you feel extra pressure about it, or you feel pretty calm?
No, I'm still calm. I think I have more pressure for inner pressure, like for Benidorm, as I was really like, it's not my race, and you know, like I never did awesome here, that kind of feeling. So like some good nerves, but also never did Maas-Mechelen, by the way. So I think this is also, it's nice to have a new race. But I'm just excited for like the very last push, and I feel good. So let's keep it that way, I should say.
And what about you, Ceylin? What do you like? How do you see this weekend? Is it final prep for Worlds, or do you still are trying to get the best position possible for the overall World Cup? What are you?
Well,
thinking?
for me, I don't really, have to search something in the general of the of the World Cup. So for me, it's just like trying to win that day. Let's say to take the day win, but further also, you know, keeping in the flow of the good feeling and finishing good races with good feeling, and then towards the final push towards the Worlds. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to watching you guys. Best of luck to you, both of you.
Thank you.
Ceylin, thank you. You were so awesome. Thanks. You're like such a great guest. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you also.
And taking all the time.
Yeah, no problem. Luckily, I had time.
Yeah,
Yes.
awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Whoop, for allowing us to have these great conversations. We feel super lucky that we get to do this. So thank you, Whoop, for presenting the podcast. People, if you would be interested in trying Whoop, you can go to join.whoop.com/dirty talks, and this will give you a free month of trial to get to try Whoop and see if it's something that you like. Other than that, people, you can subscribe to Dirty Talks, and that way you won't miss any great conversation with some of your favorite cyclocross racers. Thank you again, everybody. Good luck, ladies, this weekend for the World Cup, and I look forward to watching you guys race.
Thanks.